VAATV, Vietnamese American Arizona Television. Hello and welcome to VAATV Real Estate Talk Show with Scott Barlowe and Linh. Investing can be tricky, especially for beginners. However, with the right knowledge and understanding, you can achieve success in your investment. Our talk show is designed to bring out great topics for investors like you. We hope you enjoy the show and welcome to submit any feedback during and after the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to VAATV.com for Real Estate Show with Mr. Scott Barlowe and Linh. So we will discover some of different topic today, right?
Yes.
For the show. Hopefully, everyone can get some of the feedback for us after the show. Yeah. So what you think? Like how are you?
I'm good.
Like,
I'm good.
Yeah. How's the weather out there?
The weather has been great.
I'm in AC, so I know, but
we're hitting the 90s, so it's going to be hot here before too awful long. But at least it's still cooling down.
Oh, all right. So drink a lot of water or stay in the cool shade.
Absolutely.
Okay. So what we have today that we're going to talk
Well, what I thought is, there's a number of things that have been happening in the news.
Right.
And so what I thought is I might bring a few of those things in there and let people know, because it is going to affect the real estate market.
Exactly.
So if you're going to be making decisions, some of these things you do need to pay attention to. And of course, one of the things we're talking about is what's happened over the weekend, in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But what's going to drive a lot of it is just the fact that the cost of oil is going to continue to go up. And for those of us that live here in the Valley, as we were talking before we even had the show come on, the price of gasoline at the pump has gone up significantly.
Oh, boy.
Just a few weeks ago, it was below $4 a gallon. Now, a lot of the stations are about $4.50 a gallon. And so I would not expect it to go up, to go down anytime soon. And by the same token, the Federal Reserve Bank has met, and Chairman Powell, who was the chairman for the Federal Reserve Board, he came out and actually made some comments that are kind of discouraging as far as what is going to probably happen with interest rates. At this stage, inflation has gone up again slightly, and where everyone was very optimistic at the beginning of the year, and we were hoping perhaps to see by the middle of the summer rates down in the low sixes. That's become highly unlikely. In fact, today, one of the news organizations announced that the average interest rate across the board is at 7.1% on a 30-year fixed note.
Oh, boy.
So that's the first time since January 1st that we've been that high. 15-year rates are still about 6.5%, but even they've gone up 0.4 of a point. So from that standpoint, it for some folks who were hoping for relief for the cost of borrowing money, that sounds a little bit discouraging. But the one thing about it is, if you've been in the real estate business, you know that rates go up, rates go down, people still buy and sell properties. So the market is just not going to come to a complete halt. But what's going to happen is people can afford less. And when I was just mentioning here that the mortgage rates had gone up to 7.5%. Now this is nationwide, but the median price of a home continues to rise. Across the country, the median price of a home rose to $390,000. Here in the Valley, in the Phoenix metro area, our median price did go up again. It's up to about $445,000. So that's a pretty amount.
Yes.
At the same time, nationwide, because of those higher interest rates, to purchase a median price home, you're probably looking at payments in the neighborhood of $2,775, which is for a lot of folks who are, they've got children, they've got a lot of other bills. That's a pretty significant hit for housing. So I think from one standpoint, everybody's probably looking that you're probably going to have to tighten your belt up a little bit. But by the same token, historically, we've been in the 6 to 8% range for a long, long time. And I'm talking about, I've followed interest rates starting in the early 80s, where when we had the recession, when Jimmy Carter was president, we were 16 to 18% or even higher on home interest rates. And of course, we, because of COVID and some of the other things that were going on, we artificially lowered them a little bit. But for years we had those lower rates, and we probably got a little bit spoiled with them. But once again, I think that what we're going to see is that at least through the second half of the year, interest rates are not going to come down significantly. Home prices themselves will probably stay the same or rise. And one of the reasons why home prices are going up is because there's actually still a substantial number of cash buyers out there.
That's true. Yes.
So, somebody can walk into a new home developer and buy a house for cash and not finance it. That's going to encourage the other
People
sellers,
have much money.
yes, to continue to increase prices. So for the folks that are the first time home buyers, it's kind of going to be a little bit more of a difficult time for them. And on that yet. But the other thing I was going to add is, we've talked about that court case with the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
A number of the different aspects to it. Some of those aspects are still not settled. The court is going to review them in the first week of May. But
about the
all the new
change.
Yes, all those rules. And
Okay.
at the same time, I know here in Arizona, our Arizona Department of Real Estate has not come down with any guidance yet. I'm certain that they're waiting to get see what all the laws are, or see what the rulings from the judge are, as well as what the agreements are.
I see.
Pardon me. So that's kind of what's new on the front for mortgages. Not great news, but as far as home sales are concerned, we have the newest statistics that came out through the Phoenix Regional MLS, and I don't think it's any surprise to anybody, but we're down about 5% year over year as far as number of homes sold, which here in the Phoenix area, we usually have about 22 to 23 business days per month, and that equates to about 15 houses per day less being sold.
Okay. Less
Now,
people get,
yeah, so that there is a degree of slowdown. And we should probably expect to see that continue throughout the summer. But like I said, the crazy thing is year over year, the median price is up 11%, and we're at 445,000. One of the strangest things, and these are the statistics, but I wanted to share something with you.
Yes.
Is that list prices they're just shockingly high. The average list price here in the Phoenix metro area. Now remember, average is you take all of them, you add them all up, and you divide them by the number.
Equally.
678,000. Median, as I said, was at 445,000. They're projecting it's going to go up into the 460s. Median is, if you draw a line between half the sales are below and half the sales are above. So that's where median price is.
Yes.
But prices are going up, the interest rates are going up, and so it's going to be more difficult for new home buyers, especially if they're just starting out, to get into a home.
Wow. Jesus, well, all that effect on the price of the home, and people still have to buy and sell.
Absolutely.
Same thing.
And you
Yes.
know, I know I was talking with somebody earlier today, and,
Yeah.
and they live in a different state, but you know, the price of gasoline going up, and if you look at food costs have gone up. They were talking about in the Midwest that
Yes.
that watermelons were going for $10 a watermelon,
Oh
and they
boy.
were up about the size of a bowling ball.
Oh my
You
God.
know, we're here by the middle of the summer, we're buying watermelons for very, very inexpensive.
Yeah.
But
Oh boy.
the price of fuel is
Uh-huh.
driving everything up. It's driving up the cost of construction,
Yes.
and at the same time, you know, people are having to commute. Their dollars don't go as far. So all of those inflationary steps are working against people when they're first out trying to buy a home. And so that's going to be one of those headwinds that we're going to be seeing throughout the summer, and we should probably expect it to see home sales year over year stay in that 5 to 7 to 10% reduction year over year.
Wow.
So that's
Oh boy.
not great news, but you know, hopefully we'll start seeing some that inflation rate kind of come down again. We
Yeah.
had it. We really had it sort of heading in the right direction there at the first of the year and through the first few
and then
months.
because of those weekend events there
Yes.
happened, and
but
everything jumped.
the price of fuel drives everything. I mean, it.
Yes.
You know, the goods that
Interest rate, you know.
yeah,
and then
the goods that we get from overseas cost more. The goods
Yes.
that you get in the grocery store
it
cost more. So
Yeah.
it translates to
Everything
everything.
costs more. And then hopefully, like we call it the wage, the wages bring up to
Yes.
the minimum wage.
In some places,
Yeah.
minimum wages. In California, I think the biggest news was that minimum wages went to $20 an hour,
Ooh.
and that really affected a lot of
Oh, yes.
restaurants. I mean, we
Yes,
don't.
yes.
Obviously, it's something we haven't felt here, but just in reading about it, I feel bad for some of the business owners,
Exactly.
and in some
Yeah.
cases, it's
How can
forced
they
them
make
out of
money?
business.
So they have to raise all the food menu, you know, all the menus, all the price went
Yep.
up. Yeah. To be able to afford it.
So at McDonald's, you're
Yeah.
not. The kids aren't getting Happy Meals as much anymore. What I
Okay.
did for this week, it was a little bit different, is I pulled some things out of the headlines, and some of them I receive information from attorneys on little hot issues that come up from time to time, and I wanted to share them with people because some of them are interesting and they'll have an effect, not necessarily on everybody, but it's good stuff to know.
Yes.
But before we get into that, there was one thing that you and I have been talking about, and it was a lady in Vietnam
Yeah.
who was tied to one of their central banks. She was recently tried and found guilty of fraud and money laundering. It was to the tune of approximately $12.5 billion.
The biggest in the history.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there were
Largest.
84 other defendants that involved in it. But what made her position so unusual is that this was basically it's a white collar crime. It's a paper crime.
Yeah.
No one was physically harmed, but she received a death sentence.
Wow.
So she received the death sentence as well as 2 20-year sentences for the different counts. Now, it's my understanding in the articles that I've read that she's going to go ahead and she's going to appeal it, but it's highly unusual in Vietnam to have death sentence on a
business
yes.
endeavor, you know.
Yep.
Like I was I think like it's just like she we have to get some kind of like life lesson out of her story.
Yes.
Actually, you know, I mean, for the people when like see divided and somebody like turned against her too. You know,
well,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
obviously, you know, Vietnam is going through a stage where they're trying to combat a lot of corruption, and in this case, she was bribing other officials to look the other way, including she gave a $5.2 million bribe to the chief bank examiner for the country to look the other way during.
But you know, like not only her, everybody was just bribing. That's
Well,
right. But see, I mean, like see in history, we're talking about like the biggest and all that. But how is that happen? How is that allow happen? Until like, is that 10 year? That they say like from what year to what year that they'll find out.
Yeah, I didn't see
Yeah.
all of that, but what
Yeah.
it does look like is it was kind of what we call a Ponzi scheme where
Uh-huh.
where they were taking money and moving it from one
Yeah, move
place
from
to
where here and there.
yeah.
I think she very I mean, I know it's a cram, but she has a talent there. You know, it's a cram, but so for that kind of static, that little brain that doing those, see.
Yep.
So and then many things occur surrounding it and make that happen and get her in there and then like move forward and forward and never can be stopped. See?
Well, and she was certainly not the only one. There were 84 other defendants in
Yes.
these cases. So, I mean, that's a pretty
Yeah.
significant number of
But they
people
all
that were
turn
involved.
against it. Like some, I heard like they say, she's told to put their name there, and then they say that's not them. I see what's. I mean, they were told to do that. So it's just
There's an old
in
saying.
in the I don't think like the word I don't know will apply to any circumstances, right? Like
No.
when you do something and then if you say I don't know if this is like that, then it's not going to be acceptable.
No.
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 Yeah.
You talk about everybody turning on them. There's an old phrase,
Yeah.
there's no honor among thieves. So
That's true.
so once somebody gets in
Yeah.
trouble, they're
Yeah.
going to do everything they
Right.
can to
Uh-huh.
to
Yeah,
save
save
themselves at somebody else's
Exactly.
expense.
Yeah. But I think it's kind of harsh for that sentence, for
Uh,
a woman.
to
And
me,
she's old too.
yeah.
She's 67 years old. And
Well,
what
I
else can she do? I mean, like 230 life. I mean, like life sentences already there because nobody gonna stay that long. I mean,
yeah, 20 years.
So
No.
or even like few years after, I don't know. So I was think kind of harsh for that sentence that when they brought out. I don't agree to what her doing it, but I'm kind of feel for the situation.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But it was,
And I think they should rethink and give her a chance. And give her a chance to redone, to make it better. With her talent, she can do it. I mean, give her a chance, to the country.
well, I think that they've got some of the, she was leading in real estate development, and
Yeah.
some of the projects are unfinished. So I think they're looking at
Yes.
seeing how they can either finish them
Uh-huh.
and make money
Yeah.
off them. And then there's certainly some higher end properties where she had bought it and or moved,
Yeah.
where they're looking at recouping those and trying to get the money back to folks.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's a sad story.
But it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
It's sad
case
for
of
the
where
situation, like where sometimes like when you do things that if we're talking about really too much, like one and the other lead to other. Sometimes like when you in the situation and just moving forward, and never thought of any the result or the consequence for anything.
hmm
Yeah. So we have to think clear of whatever that important here. Don't. Yeah. Hard to say.
So it'll be interesting to follow that story and
Yes.
see how her appeals
Right.
through the court systems go.
Yeah.
But I think what attracted the most attention was just the fact that she got a death sentence for basically what we call a white collar
White
crime.
collar crime. Yes, I don't see like if like a person like killer or criminal. I mean like something. Yeah, agree. Like there's a earlier story. Like there's the girl been dead by one of the lady there. I never fall for that. And we agree totally. It shouldn't be happen.
Yeah.
In this case, it's like a different situation with where
Well, there were definitely had to be a lot of hands in that
oh yeah.
to do that much damage.
Exactly. And then now that everything her because it owned the most percentage
Yep.
of share in the
Yep.
in the situation there. So we have to be careful for that. Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that one comes out.
Yes.
I pulled up a couple of different
Uh-huh.
topics here that just came out, and there's
Yes.
several attorneys,
Uh-huh.
real estate attorneys that I know here in the Valley,
Yes.
and they put out little snippets of what's going on.
Uh-huh.
But this one that I'm going to bring up here first
Yes.
is
Uh-huh.
one that's not too terribly uncommon.
Uh-huh.
And what I'm going to do is I'll set up the scenario to tell you
Uh-huh.
that you've got two adult children.
Right.
Their mother owned a home here in Mesa.
Uh-huh.
She passed away, and she had set up what's called a beneficiary's deed,
Mm.
so that when she passed away, her son and daughter became the owners of her house.
Oh.
So it didn't have to go through probate or any of the other
Right.
legal standings.
Right.
The house is worth about $850,000.
Okay.
And the son
Uh-huh.
wanted to lease the house out, make money off of the house,
Uh-huh.
and then when he retired, then they would sell the house and then split the profits.
Okay.
The sister, who lives out of state, said, no, I want to sell the house now.
Oh.
So what do you do in a situation like that, where you got two owners
Uh-huh.
and they want to sell one wants to sell the property and the other one wants to?
How did they stay for the are they doing like a 50-50 tenancy or
50-50.
oh, 50
So they
tenancy.
each own half of the property.
Oh.
So the answer to that question is, what they do is she goes to an attorney and she gets a partition lawsuit.
Mm.
And so what the partition lawsuit says is that she's going to take him to court
Uh-huh.
and force the sale of the property. Now, he gets a notice from an attorney that they're going to go to court,
Okay.
and so he has no choice. There is no defense against a partition lawsuit.
Mm.
So what you have to do in this case, what the attorneys have recommended is,
Mm-hmm.
don't go to court on it. Do
Okay.
mediation, work out a solution, because
Cheaper.
you've
right?
got far cheaper. You've
Yeah.
got legal fees, you've got court fees,
Fee and
depositions,
juror, all
a
that,
jury
yeah,
trial,
yeah,
and it can sometimes take 2 or more years to get it done.
exactly.
What they recommend doing is going to mediation.
Right.
And if he wanted to keep the house and rent it out, he could just buy out her portion.
True. Yes.
So
Uh-huh.
that is indeed what
Uh-huh.
they did. Is they went to a mediator and they worked out an agreement
Uh-huh.
so that they could get
Uh-huh.
he could keep his portion and
Uh-huh.
buy hers out. But the key thing here that you should come away with is, if
Uh-huh.
you're in a situation where you have heirs and they're the beneficiaries of a deed or a will or something along those lines, if there's a piece of real property
Uh-huh.
and one wants to sell and the other one doesn't want to sell, there is a way of handling it, and that's to do that partition lawsuit.
Oh, and then with that partition lawsuit, then one will have to agree to it.
Well,
Okay.
their best
The
bet,
best, otherwise they lost the money, right?
yeah, well,
both of them.
their best bet is to go to mediation and avoid going through the court
Yeah.
system.
But that's true. Yeah, this one can sell back to the other half.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the brother, if he truly wanted to keep the property, he
Mhm.
could go get a loan
Mhm.
and buy her share out.
Uh-huh.
So she gets her money.
Right.
She's gone. She's completely out of the picture. He can continue to rent it. Hopefully,
Uh-huh.
his rent each month is sufficient to pay
To pay
his
the
new mortgage. And
Yeah.
then when he's ready to move, then he can
True.
cease
Yeah.
having a tenant in there.
Yeah, that's the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's good. So that we know. So like once the tenancy in common, then that's the way how it's solved. You know, just sue each other, and then who got the money the most?
Yes.
The court, the lawyer.
Yep. The next one I've got is, this one kind of involves
Uh-huh.
the Arizona Landlord Tenant Act. And it talks in the Arizona Landlord Tenant Act about a couple of different things, about if you have a property where there is criminal activity on it,
Yes.
there's domestic violence that's occurred there, there's gang activity that's occurred there, that the tenant may be able to break the lease.
Oh.
And in
Okay.
this particular
Uh-huh.
case, and I'll just kind of read this to you.
Oh, okay.
It
Yeah.
says, my wife and I live with our 2-year-old son in a Phoenix apartment complex.
Okay.
Last week in our apartment complex, there was a gang fight with several shots fired. We were terrified, especially with the possibility of additional gang shootings. We notified the property manager and moved out immediately. And we've been staying with my wife's sister until we can find another apartment.
Right.
We just received an email from our former landlord's attorney stating that we had no right to move out of the apartment and that we still owe rent until the landlord can find another tenant.
Oh.
Do we have to pay any more rent? And the answer to that is no. You have the right to terminate the lease with 5 days' notice and move out of your apartment because you had a reasonable belief of imminent danger to the health and safety of you and your family. And it goes back and it talks about Arizona Revised Statute 33-1361, which is the Arizona Landlord Tenant Act.
Right.
And it says in there that it justifies them moving out. So no, they do not have to pay any more rent, but they do need to give that 5 days notice.
Wow.
So they would have 5 days of rent that they would owe.
So for suiting, for that. Yeah, that's say in danger to himself. Wow, so many cases. I didn't even know, like, out there's many cases.
Oh, there's cases that pop up every day. And, you know, it kind of surprises me sometimes how landlords are not, they're not fully informed of the law.
They understand. Yeah, they gotta, well, I mean, like, that's I agree with, like, COD notify, right? And then this is danger to the family.
Yes.
See, you cannot force. What if, like, something happened to her? Then the responsibility would be more heavy.
Oh, it'd be on the property manager and the landlord. Yes,
I already notified to you, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, to be peaceful, then let them go. I mean, you know. Yeah.
And the same thing if you've got drug activity, domestic violence going on. You know, some of the parties can move.
Yeah.
Like I said before, if you're a landlord, it behooves you to get a copy of the Arizona Landlord Tenant Act.
Right.
Because before you go ahead and start making decisions on some of these things, go to the Landlord Tenant Act and find the appropriate section so that you can read it and be aware of it. It's kind of funny because I've got a friend and her son has had problems with his roommates. And so they ask, he needs to break his lease. So I helped them negotiate a settlement on the lease and he's moving out. But while I was reading the lease, I was amazed. I found several things that were they were in violation of the law.
Oh.
So
you mean the lease?
The lease itself was in violation of the law.
Oh.
So as a landlord, you need to make sure that your leases are following state law. You know, one of them that I'll give you an example of that's pretty easy. And we've talked about this before. But if you as a landlord are going to enter into one of your tenant's residence, you need to give them a 2-day written notice.
Right. Right.
Well, and this particular landlord said, no, within 24 hours she could come in.
Oh.
So that's, you know, and there are accident circumstances where maybe you have an emergency, like say the tenant,
if leaking,
it's leaking or
like
sparking,
then
obviously,
but
you know,
other than that, then it's 48 hour to 72
exactly
hour,
right,
72 hour.
exactly right. So that's one of those things where, you know, I would highly suggest that as a landlord, you really have somebody take a look at it, or you can get a standardized lease that where attorneys have already looked at it and it's pretty well approved.
But what's happened in that case? I mean, if they sign on, even though they sign on that things and it's not the sufficient, but they sign on it, and are they gonna bypass the contract or by the Arizona law?
You cannot have a contract that
against the Arizona law
that's in the face of the law.
Oh, I see.
So if she did indeed go in there on 24 hours, those tenants could make a complaint against her that she's violated the Arizona Landlord Tenant Act. So that's why I say it. And I don't think that there was a malicious part in her mind on that, so much as just an ignorance of the law.
Yeah, but probably because they was thinking like that's their property and they want to make a policy for themselves. You know,
well,
for that.
And sometimes too, what I find is that you'll have landlords who have a lease in a different state, and they think they can just immediately bring it here to Arizona. Not so. There's a lot of different things to it.
I see. But like it's not apply. That's residential. But how about the commercial? Commercial, do they have to go based on the law or something?
Yes, there are sections in the commercial where it talks specifically about it, but in many cases, and this is my experience, in many cases with commercial leases, they've been written and reviewed by attorneys, and they're property specific. Whereas a lot of people, when they do a residential lease, they just use a generic residential lease. But I could tell that in this one, it was the original lease that she had copied and made modifications to was probably done in a different state because there were still some artifacts from the previous tenants.
Yes.
Maybe where they didn't white it out or something.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So attention to detail on leases is huge. You know, think of it this way. A lease is a contract. All sides have to abide by it. But
so in this case, like they really don't need to get the lease from anywhere, and they can just follow the booklets, right? With the booklets, they have the information there, and they can
you could certainly use that to verify. There's nothing wrong with using your own lease. I've had clients over the years who they took a lease, and over the years they just kept modifying it. But at least they went back and they looked at the Arizona Landlord Tenant Act each time they did a modification to make sure that they stayed within the limits.
So now I understand like that, because I just thought with the landlord, they have a right to write up whatever they wanted for the tenant.
Absolutely, they can. So you know, if you're a landlord and you say no pets, that means that
that's your policy.
That's your policy. Your tenants cannot bring a pet in there. If they do, they're in violation of the lease. Then there's other things in there. For example, you know, one of them is your security deposit. The security deposit, the main security deposit, is usually refundable, completely refundable. And that's considered something that the landlord's going to hold in case of damage, repairs, or anything at the termination of the lease. They have 14 days after the lease is over, 14 business days, to return the money or to at least give them notice, give the tenants notice on how much money they're retaining because of damages. For example, maybe the stove was supposed to be cleaned and it was filthy. So now the landlord comes in and he has to have somebody clean it. So it costs a couple of $100.
I see.
So maybe the carpet's got a big old stain from dark wine spelling on it. So once again, that becomes something where they have to change that carpet out.
I see. So all those, but except like the day, the time frame, and all that, have to follow.
Exactly, and there's rules. They set up procedures on how move in, move out, and that's why, you know, one of my recommendations to this young man was that when you're getting ready to move out, because his other roommates are going to stay there, they're going to keep the lease intact. They're going to do a new lease, but he's going to leave, so they're basically stopping the old lease and writing a new lease with the two gentlemen in there. But
and the deposit and everything the same, or the rate
it'll change. Yeah. So what they'll need to do is they'll need to make sure that he fully documents the condition of his room and his common areas when he moves out, so that they at the end of the lease, these other two guys aren't going, oh, he did everything. You know how that works.
Yes.
So
that's true, because we deduct the deposit or collect the deposit.
Yes,
right?
Exactly right. So another topic, just to completely change things, we're going to go into HOAs.
Okay.
And some HOAs, and I've known of several here over the years, that, you know, say you own a condo, or you own you own a house
Uh-huh.
in an HOA.
Yes.
And the HOA has rules that they don't want for sale signs out there.
Oh.
Well,
Oh.
so this gentleman wrote into this attorney, we
Ah.
want to sell our house
Uh-huh.
ourselves and put up a for sale sign by owner.
Mhm.
Sign out in our front yard. One of our neighbors is a realtor, and she says that our CC&Rs only allow realtors to put up for sale signs.
Oh.
Don't we have the right to put up a for sale sign by owner in our front yard?
Wow.
This was decided a time ago. I almost find it comical, and
I
frankly,
didn't even know
that
about that. Oh,
that a
Jesus.
realtor wouldn't know better, to
Oh.
me, is just it's almost ludicrously
Oh,
funny,
boy.
because this was
See, what if the owner also a real estate agent and they cannot sell their own home?
well, the real estate
Yeah.
agent doesn't even have to be a realtor.
Uh,
If the homeowner wants to put his house up for sale
yeah.
and put it up for
Uh-huh.
sale by owner,
Yeah.
he's more than welcome to do it. And state law says
Yeah,
that he can.
But yeah, that's why it goes
So
CC now
it
say
doesn't.
no.
And once again, here you
Uh-huh.
have the CC&Rs,
Yeah.
the HOA rules, where they're
Uh-huh.
trying to make these rules that are above and beyond what state law says.
Uh-huh.
But it's no, not so fast. You're going to have to follow the law.
Oh.
And the law says not only realtors, but homeowners, when they're selling their own home,
Yeah.
can put a sign out in their yard.
So so that's right. When they go until they don't the CC now really not like everything, right? Besides certain of the detailing, but like not like against the real law out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
has been around for a while. I know there were several HOAs here in the Mesa area that were trying to enforce that, and it just
Oh, wow.
ain't gonna happen.
So how are they gonna solve it? I mean, like the person file a complaint to who? So that they can
They got hold of one of the attorneys, and the attorney goes, "It's very simple," and he cited
so
the
the
law.
attorney must send the letter to the association.
Yep.
So make them correct it.
Yep.
So
they need to fix their CC&Rs, and
right.
and
Yeah.
that homeowner has the right to go ahead and put the for sale sign out there.
Wow. That's very good. Yeah. So we gotta know how to solve the situation there.
Exactly right. We're going to jump back over into landlord tenant issues,
Okay.
and this one comes from a place where they lease their home
Uh-huh.
to a couple,
Yes.
and the lease has no pet provision in it.
Uh-huh.
A former neighbor who has 2 children recently called to complain about 2 pit bulls purchased by the tenants.
Oh.
Can we terminate the lease with our tenants because of the 2 pit bulls? Well, you got a couple of different issues here going on. The first one is where we say the lease has a no pet provision. Right there, quite simply, as we've talked about before, the lease is a contract. And as part of that contract, you have a no pet provision.
Yes.
So they're in violation of the lease. They're in breach of contract, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
So right there, you could go ahead
Yes.
and begin steps to send them notice.
Notice
Now, to carry it a degree further, if the pit bulls are a health and safety hazard, you can deliver a 5-day written notice, terminate the lease, and evict the tenants.
Uh-huh.
If the pit bulls are only a violation of the no pet policy,
Uh-huh.
you can do a 10-day written notice to the tenants demanding that during that 10 days that the pit bulls be removed.
Oh, okay.
And if they don't comply, then you go ahead and start eviction proceedings. The key thing here is the breed of the dog in this instance. They're calling out pit bulls because pit bulls have a little bit more of an aggressive nature to them compared to
a normal dog,
like a basset hound.
Okay. Like they bark a lot, or
no, they're
aggressive and
they're
hit on
a
people?
very aggressive dog, and they were bred for fighting.
Oh, I see.
So that's one of the big.
Like terrier.
It is a pit bull terrier,
Okay.
and it's a good sized dog. Some of the pit bulls I've seen, they have good sized heads to them.
Oh, really?
And they're they're stocky, thick dogs. They'll weigh almost as much as a German Shepherd sometimes.
Oh boy.
So they're big.
Yeah, so they become like a danger.
And
Other.
And I've known of a number of instances where they've bitten people. On the other hand,
Yeah.
you know, depending on how they're raised, they can be a sweet house or a sweet family dog.
Yeah.
But you know, there's some unscrupulous.
But they're kind, right? They're breed.
Yes.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
type. Yeah.
But there's some owners who abuse the dogs. The dogs become vicious, and they can be dangerous. So you got two different types of issues here. One, like I said, if the dog is a dangerous dog, you can give them a 5-day notice and evict them.
Okay.
Because of the breed and the fact that it's a health and safety issue.
Right.
If it's just a dog that's there and it's docile and your policy is no dogs, you give them a 10-day notice to get the dog out of the house. If they don't after that, then you can go ahead and begin eviction proceedings.
So the determination for the dog that dangerous, is that involved also, like what if the neighbor called the animal control, and the animal control certify like, oh, they okay, the dog is okay, then what you can.
Well, there's a couple of different circumstances to that. You know, the first one is, has the dog bit anybody?
Right.
If the dog bit someone more than once, that makes it pretty clear how animal control is going to operate on it. The other thing too is the animal control is going to make sure that the dog is up on its shots, properly registered, all that kind of thing.
Register, and well, they come and they check, right?
Right.
They check if they're dangerous. They taking away, right?
And but mind you, they can't be everywhere at once. So people have to call and make a complaint so that the animal control officer will come out there.
Right.
Now, if it's a dog that's frequently out on its own, running loose, and it's attacking other people's pets and stuff, you know, that's where you need witnesses who say, hey, this dog it's a dangerous animal. So the more evidence that can be presented to those animal control people, the easier it is for them to take action.
I see.
If it's just a dog that's running loose,
then
they may not be able to do anything more than put it back in and secure it in the yard.
It's not somebody that have anything like danger because of that dog, so they just move around. Yeah. I see. Oh well, even there's a lot to understand, but this is very good because like if like you say, if the dog have proven, you know, like not dangerous to other, then you have 5 days to move out.
Exactly.
But can you give them a chance, like, okay, you have 5 days to move the dog out and you can stay? Or...
Well, if they get rid of the dog, you know, then it becomes up to you because, you know, once again, you're the landlord.
Yeah.
You can have kind of a final say in that. But if if the situation is so bad that they've got a vicious dog there and you just want to get them out, you can go ahead and do that.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking like the renter probably have to understand that, and then if they will lose the place to stay if they don't make a decision with their dog. Right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So yeah, you can make the decision on how you want to handle it, but the bottom line is you got the ability to get them out within 5 days.
Yeah, 5 days.
And then on the other one, you know, you give them an opportunity to get the dog out over the 10 days. So one is a lot more, one's got a lot more strength to it than the other one.
Oh, I see. Okay.
This is we're kind of bouncing back and forth between HOAs and landlord tenant, but
so refresh people's mind.
But this is and this one's on CC&Rs again. And remember what a CC&R is. When the builder or the developer for a subdivision came in, they created covenants, conditions, and restrictions. In many cases, what they were designed to do was to maintain the property values and make sure that all of the residents in there were keeping up their homes and doing things so that they didn't disturb the quiet enjoyment of their neighbors. But sometimes just because you got CC&Rs doesn't necessarily mean you have a homeowners association. Sometimes there's not that provision that's included in the CC&Rs. So in this particular scenario, these folks, they live in a subdivision here in Mesa, and they've never had a homeowners association. They do have CC&Rs, which state that there's HOA approval of sport courts, you know, if somebody wants to do a basketball court,
Okay.
pickleball court, a tennis court in their
Uh-huh.
backyard, they need the HOA approval. But the builder or the developer and the folks that live in the subdivision, they never got together and set up an HOA.
Oh.
So there is no HOA to make that decision.
Oh, boy.
So who's responsible for enforcing the CC&Rs then? Well, if there's no CC&Rs and no HOA, or if there is no HOA to enforce the CC&Rs, each of the individual homeowners has the right to enforce the CC&Rs. So then they would have to go to court.
I see.
Oftentimes, because of the hassle, the expense of getting an attorney and everything, many homeowners don't bother with it. And so if there is no enforcement, over time, the CC&Rs become waived. So there's no enforcement action possible. But like I said, if the homeowners individually, if there is no HOA, it's up to the homeowners individually to take action. I'm going to take a quick drink of water.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So like Mr. Barlowe just mentioned, there's a lot of good point right there with all the information for the case that might be a lesson for us, for landlord and also for the tenant. So you talking about the CC&R right now, and something we know is always knowledge is a power. It can protect you, and you know, you will understand more and know how to solve the situation when it's arrived. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to talk real quickly about a new home. When you purchase that new home, it usually comes with a warranty, and the warranty is an extended warranty from the builder. And so in this particular case, these folks bought a brand new home here in the Valley, and at the close of escrow, they received a 2-year written warranty from their home builder. After a rainy night last week, some of the roof materials were blown away, exposing a rotted undercoating. So not only were the tiles removed and the underlaminate removed, but the wood that was underneath was rotted.
Oh, boy.
So when they contacted the home builder's sales agent about fixing the roof, she said that any roof repairs now are not covered by our 2-year warranty. Is the home builder required to make these roof repairs? Now remember, we got a home built, we got a warranty, but it's 2 years after the warranty's expired. So how does that affect the homeowner?
Oh, boy.
So most homeowners or most home builders only give a 2-year written warranty for the construction defects, just like the 2-year written warranty for an automobile. Unlike warranties for automobiles, batteries, and so forth, an Arizona home builder also has an 8-year implied warranty of proper construction. In other words, in as much as the warranty had expired, was the original construction proper? How did that wood rot if it was properly sealed?
Exactly, yeah.
So the home builder has an obligation to inspect the roof, and if the defect was from the original construction, then the home builder is responsible for making those repairs. And so it can be
even though it's past the
2-year warranty, they have 8 years. So
8 years. Yeah,
so 8 years, 8 years on construction defects.
Oh, okay.
And that would mean, you know, like let's say that you got a window in your house and the wall caves in.
Okay.
It was if the investigation or the inspection reveals that was improperly constructed, maybe they didn't get enough nails into the 2x4s or 2x6s that were holding everything together, then that would be something that the home builder would have a responsibility for up to 8 years.
Wow. Okay. So we know our right there.
Yep. Just a little bit of a change.
For the new home. Wow, this is all good stuff, Scott. I mean, bring all this out. If we sit there, we would know. We would, you know, was if now this is good. I got all that information about the documents, about the land, about the contract, and all that. Yes.
Now I'm going to change gears a little bit. Um, it's not something that we've had a great issue with here in Arizona because of our Arizona Landlord Tenant Act, but in other states, if you watch in the news, you'll see it seems like there's a proliferation of squatters, people that get into a vacant home, and it's extremely difficult for the homeowner to get them out. And there's huge amounts of damage that occur to those homes.
Homeless people, yeah.
And so, one of the things that I can tell you right now, and this is just my recommendation, is if you're a homeowner and you have a vacant home, you need to make arrangements so that somebody has a set of eyes on it. If not daily, every other day or so. The reason being, you want to catch somebody in there as early as you can.
Right.
So once you realize somebody is in the home, call the local law enforcement out.
Okay.
Let them know that these people are trespassing, that you want them out, and that you are willing to go ahead and prosecute them. Most of the local law enforcement people are pretty good about those types of things. Now, there's some people out there that are a little more sophisticated, and they come up with a lease, and if some of those things are fraudulent, it's pretty easy to prove. But on occasion, you may have somebody that's really sophisticated, in which case you'll need to go through the eviction proceedings to get them out. But the key thing there is, as early as you can, get on it. So here's kind of to prevent squatters from getting on there. Regular inspections. As I said, check your property regularly. You may want to just go to the neighbors on either side and say, hey, do me a favor. If you can see what's going on here at the house, would you call me if you see somebody nosing around? Make a point of enlisting your neighbors to be another set of eyes for you. Give it a maintained appearance. So, you can get those little inexpensive timers, put some lights on there so the lights come on and off at irregular intervals. So it looks like somebody's there and that they're moving around the house. Not the same light coming on at the same time every night. Go make sure that you've got some basic security measures. In other words, make sure that all the windows are properly locked. Make sure your sliding glass doors, which are notorious for having issues on some of the older homes, make sure you're doing something extra there. Perhaps some of the different aftermarket locks. Even if you put a stick in the grooves for the slide of the door, but something so that door cannot be easily slid open. And then, of course, on your front door, you want to put good, hardy locks on that. Any of your swinging doors, you want to make sure you have good locks on those as well.
Yeah, it's true.
The other thing too is you want to make sure that you're leaving it with an appearance that that somebody is there. So, if you've got cobwebs and dust and everything that's forming in the door frame,
they know like nobody there.
They know no one's there.
We have to keep it clean and look nice and neat and all that, like people there.
Exactly right. And you may want to just consider having a property manager take a look at it. Hire the property manager. They drive by properties all the time to take a look at it, and that's part of one of their duties. If anybody is staying at your home for an extended period of time, make sure you have a written agreement outlining the extent of their stay and your right to end that. State law says that if you're going to have a tenant and they're going to be on a lease they're going to be living there in a home or a property of yours for at least a year, you need a written lease. I would go so far as to consider having even a short-term lease, and say somebody's going to live there for a month or so, have a short-term lease. The things to consider that you need a start and end date. You need the names of the people that are involved in it, how much they're paying, and as this says, how can that lease be terminated? is there holdover? So at the end of 30 days, if you got somebody staying there and they go, no, I don't want to move out, but maybe you've got somebody that you want to move in there.
Yeah, that's true.
So how do you handle that?
Right.
You can get them out that way. But the key things here is
make a contract and lease every time, even a day or 2 a month. Yeah.
Exactly. The key thing here is if you're going to have somebody and they get in there long term, and they may do things like, if you haven't had eyes on the house and somebody's gotten in there for 2 or 3 weeks, they may turn the power on in their name.
Yeah. Oh boy.
They may have the water in their name. So now you tell the police department, and the police come out and they go, well, here's my water bill. It's got my name on it.
Yeah. They can't do that, right?
Well, they did it.
Usually when they turn the water on, aren't they gonna? The company will always ask for you. Are you the owner, or you have a lease contract, or things like that?
They do, but sometimes you know what? These people will cook up a fraudulent lease contract.
Oh.
So the key thing there is, if you're keeping your eyes on it, it doesn't give them that kind of opportunity.
It's true. Yes. Yes. Nobody cares your money as you do.
As much as you do, that's for sure.
Okay. So it's pretty good.
Are we? How are we?
Close. We come close. We have a few minutes left. But is there more? Because I have to save.
I've always got more, but we can save them for next time around.
Yeah, next time, because I know like every time when you follow the news, everything like we want to look for. Like I know right now the economy, we want to see how's everything's go. If it jump up, down, interest rate, the gas, everything else.
Well, I think the thing that's probably most concerning is the fact that a lot of the fuel and oil refineries are our ability here within the country. We've kind of slowed down on our ability to produce our own oil and gas. So now we're dependent on a lot of foreign countries, and unfortunately, a lot of those countries are not friendly to us. And it's almost in their interest that the price of gas goes up.
Yeah. Wow. Unfortunately, this is I don't know. I mean, like I hate war. It's just like nobody likes the war. People fighting with each other, So I always think we just pray and hope. Like, we just need peace.
Well, we need cooler heads to prevail. That's for sure.
Yes.
You can't keep doing those types of things and expect it. The rest of the world gets harmed as well with, it's maybe not directly with bullets or bombs, but certainly with the cost of living and trying to do things.
Everything else, they are combined. Too much pressure.
Exactly right.
So, all those time that Mr. Scott Barlowe has mentioned something news, not like selling, buying, like he's the best investment realtor for anything else in the out there that you want to buy, sell, or even leasing. Everything else like business. I think we have there's a property that a vacant space that for lease. Right?
I've got a space for lease at Ocotillo Center. It's a 2-story mixed office and retail center. It's about 1,600 square feet. It's in Apache Junction. The address is 2114 West Apache Trail. And it's nice open space, a couple of bathrooms in there, and it's street frontage. It's on the first floor. So if you have somebody that's interested, please give me a call, and we'll make arrangements so that I can show it and let you take a look at it.
And this is a very good area. It's newly developed. If you go further down, then there's still old town. But like for this area, come up further is close to Main Street as well.
Yes.
Continue to it, and then it's a good place to do any kind of business for this area. I mean, newly.
Yeah, you could do office in there, or you could do a retail space in there.
Yeah.
So
and a good price, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So any question or feedback, you can let us know at VAATV Messenger, and then Mr. Scott Barlowe, the phone number and the email, so that you can the phone number, you can let them know.
Yeah, my phone, direct phone number, and I do answer my phone,
Yes.
is 480-213-7691. And that's probably the easiest way to get hold of me. If I don't pick up an answer, leave me a message, text me, either one, but I do answer.
He's very good at it. So thank you so much, Scott, for coming, and see you next time. Yeah.
Yep, see everybody later. And if you have questions or something new comes up, let Lynn V know, and we'd be happy to answer it for you.
Right. Any feedback, please share with us. Yeah, for that. And then tomorrow we still have a music entertainment show, so please stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. Have a great time. Bye.